in Hull, and told the story of how in the Appalachian Mountains we have something called mountaintop removal, where instead of going underground to get the coal, they just blow up the entire mountain and push it down over the side into the waterways and over onto people's property, houses, cemeteries, churches, and schools. And it's unfathomable to me that somehow we've decided that we have the right to destroy one of the oldest mountain ranges in the world. Jean Ritchie wrote about it in the 1960s when she wrote Black Waters. John Prine wrote about it in the 1970s when he wrote Paradise, and yet we haven't been able to stem the tide of people pushing over the mountains as though they were just sand and had no place in the world. So over 400 mountains have now been taken down to the ground in the Appalachian Mountains. And you may wonder, well, how are they able to do that with people living on those mountains? Well, they have to depopulate the mountains one way or another and persuade people to leave. And one way they do that is by fracking the mountain. And that's what's happening on my grandmother's mountain. So I'm obviously really anxious because it's only one step in a long chain of something disappearing. And what they do is they come up on the mountain, the gas company, and offer people more money from their houses than they could ever expect to get any other way. Because most of the houses up there aren't worth really anything at all. They're just something to pass on to the next generation. Nobody wants to really live up on Smith Ridge. It's not a tourist area or nothing to recommend it necessarily. And so it's just passed from generation to generation among very poor people. And when somebody comes up and offers you $80,000 for a house that you couldn't sell for $15,000 if you tried, then you're very tempted to move on down to town. And that's exactly what's happened on Mama's Mountain, where there used to be a house and a church and a graveyard and a barn and a little horse. Now there's a house and a gas well and a gas well and a church and a gas well and a house and a graveyard and a gas well and a gas well and a gas well, until it looks like a Texas oil field up on Smith Ridge. And last year when we played Heart of the Mountain in Hull, a gal named Nikki came up to me and asked me if we'd write a song about hydrofracking. And I thought, oh, that sounds like a dreadful topic to try and write a song about. It's awfully hard to rhyme in the first place. But it also bound to be very boring. And I don't know that I could really do anything with it in a song. But then when I thought about it, I thought, well, that's exactly what they're doing up on Mama's Mountain, is fracking the mountain. And the thing that distresses me the very most about it is the noise. Because you see, when I was a little girl, we lived there, we always played in the road. What is it about a child that wants to play in the middle of the road? I don't know. But I know why I went into the road, and that's because the milkweed that I mentioned in the first song, well, it was across the road. And if you cut off a stem of milkweed, it fit perfectly into Barbie's injection molded hand, and she had a parasol. And so that was the important aspect of going over and collecting milkweed in the middle of the road. Well, that was no problem because you could hear a car coming from miles and miles away up there on the 7 Mile Ridge because it was totally silent up there. Well, now you could never hear that car coming because all of those gas wells, in order to operate, need something called a compressor station, which they built down in the valley. And it's like one of those big giant John Lewis warehouses that you see by the side of the M1 or something. And it makes a constant and unceasing hum all day long, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It goes and so all the people up there live with that noise now. And so I thought that's what we'll write a song about. We'll write about the hum. So this song is called The Hum.
They've taken all the coal, they've taken all the gas, they started on the timber knows the hum. You may hear thunder roll, you may hear lightning crack, you may hear the train a-comin' down the railroad track. You may hear the people singing, the devil in kingdom come, ain't nothing meaner than that silver hammer's hum. Oh, it used to be so quiet on our mountaintop, but now there is a hum, and the humming just won't stop. That silver hammer keeps on pumping, it don't mind what it's done. It never knew the silence, it only knows the hum. Make sure to read that paper, 'cause you're signing it in blood. Those words that seem so quiet may be the ones that make the hum. It will come into your sleep, it will rattle in your brain, and once the hum starts humming, it will never, 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 ever, never, ever go away. Oh, it used to be so quiet on our mountaintop, but now there is a hum, and the humming just won't stop. That silver hammer keeps on pumping, it don't mind what it's done. It never knew the silence, it only knows the hum.